Gather round, baby bats. Gather round, little darklings. It's getting late, and there are stories to be told.
Come on, get out of there,
Joey says, becoming increasingly annoyed.
The boss says he wants to see ya. The boss is gonna see ya.
Jeremy is cowering in the back seat of a cab on the verge of hyperventilation.
Please, I'm begging you. You can't take me to see that man. I'll do anything.
Jeremy's begging only further annoys Joey and panics the cab driver. Joey lets out a heavy sigh and, with the roll of his eyes, stuffs his upper body into the cab, grabbing Jeremy by the ankle and pulling his meek, flailing, adrenaline-pumped body closer and closer. The cab driver is bewildered and anxious, shouting in Dutch and panicked enough to no longer be concerned over Jeremy's well-being. Jeremy is clinging on to the grab handle above him for dear life, kicking Joey with his other leg with every distressed gasp and pitiful sob.
I swear to God, I'm gonna crush your goddamn balls if you don't knock it off!
Joey threatened, his mitt already laying on the squeeze to Jeremy's crotch, which was now signaling to Jeremy's brain that yes, this was indeed a fate worse than death. Jeremy's voice box gave a rebuttal by overriding the brain and emitting a high-pitched howl to help cope with the pain slightly. But a surprise testimony from Stomach, who had been receiving deferred pain from testicles, managed to persuade Brain into convincing Hands to let go of the grab handle. The cab driver had seen many things in Amsterdam, but nothing quite like this. Joey wrangles Jeremy out of the cab, and the cab immediately speeds off, swerving to avoid several collisions. The few onlookers that had little else to do on a Friday morning began to make themselves look scarce after the show was over. Joey, towering over Jeremy with his 6'2" stocky build, motions Jeremy toward the old Lincoln Joey had been staking out in. Jeremy silently complies and limps towards the direction of the passenger seat, before being nudged to instead take the driver's seat. They both get in the car.
Sorry, I thought you would be the one driving,
Jeremy says, slightly stunned, staring at the steering wheel. Joey buckles his seatbelt and sighs, turning to Jeremy. They sit in silence for a minute, an agonizing minute, with Joey's eyes locked onto Jeremy's.
Is it because I wouldn't get out
It's the least you can do after making me grab your balls with my bare hand. That's why you're driving.
Joey interrupts sardonically. They sit in another minute of silence.
Start the car, pull out, and take a left at the second light.
Joey tosses Jeremy the keys and the car comes alive with a roar. Pantera is playing on the radio, which Joey is quick to switch off. He digs into his pockets, and Jeremy nervously glances over from the corner of his eyes, wondering if this is how it happens. Joey pulls out a pack of cigarettes and pulls one out, Jeremy's eyes catching his.
Do you mind if I smoke?
Joey wryly asks as he lights up, rolling down his window.
Why do you trust me to drive a car? I mean, what if I just pull over and make a run for it? What if I just veer off and kill us both?
Jeremy gulps for air, chest heaving. The corner of Joey's mouth twitches into a flash of a smile as his jaw drops slightly.
Because you're a goddamn coward. That's why. Then the second you do anything funny is the second I waste you.
He pauses.
The boss really doesn't care if you make it to him alive. No offense, but you're just not that important.
He emphasizes the not. Jeremy purses his lips and nods in agreement.
Make a right over here,
instructs Joey, after he takes a drag of his cigarette. The Lincoln makes a right and Joey tosses the butt of his cigarette, exhaling smoke as he rolls up his window. He looks over to Jeremy, who has gone mute and appears to be numb.
Hey, come on. Like I said, this is nothing personal. You know how it is.
Joey takes a moment to search for something.
I don't even know what this is all about, so you might be worked up over nothing.
He's watching the buildings go by through his window as he says this.
You don't?
Jeremy takes his eyes off the road for a moment to ask this. Joey rolls down his window again and produces another cigarette between his fingertips.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't exactly been in a position to stay informed until recently.
He says this with the cigarette between his lips, the lighter producing nothing but sparks.
Shit.
Joey opens up the glove box, rummaging around looking for a spare lighter until he finds one underneath a copy of The Catcher in the Rye.
Prison?
Jeremy asks quizzically. Joey shoots a look at Jeremy, cocking an eyebrow and blowing out cigarette smoke.
A little biased of you to assume that right off the bat, but yeah, I did some time.
A moment of silence befalls the car. The two of them are now leaving the city limits. Joey catches a few glimpses of the wild purple hyacinths growing along the side of the road and looks down at his shoes.
Was it tough?
Jeremy continued.
What? Prison? Yeah, it was tough. What the hell do you think it was? Third left, by the way.
Getting out, I mean. Was it tough getting out? Joey took a long drag from his cigarette and gave a solemn nod.
Yeah, it was tough. Hey, what are you doing? I said third left!
The car screeches to a halt.
I'm really sorry. It was an honest mistake. I'll just make a K-turn and then...
No. The road is too narrow to make a K-turn, and you're not taking my baby off-roading. Shit. Just keep going and we'll find a place to turn around.
Joey takes another drag of his cigarette, exhaling slowly.
What was the hardest part? Getting out, I mean.
Jeremy further continued. Joey scanned the dashboard and clamped his jaw shut, took another drag from his cigarette and ashed it out the window.
You go to the grocery store and they still have the same peanut butter you've been eating for years. Yeah, some things are different, but a lot of it has been consistent change. Different brand of cookie, same cream-filled sandwich cookie, that kind of thing.
He stops himself.
The real hard part is being out of the loop with all the people you're close to. You don't know where you stand anymore. You might have had a gist of things on the inside, but it doesn't feel like a day goes by where somebody mentions one thing or another that happened while I was gone, and I can see it on their face. Those moments are their reason for living. The moments I missed out on. My moments? I watched my cellmate get shanked because he had a smart mouth and poor impulse control. My reason for living? To not end up like my cellmate.
He takes a final drag of his cigarette and tosses it out the window. Jeremy's mouth slightly purses, and he winces.
I'm sorry.
The road comes to an end, and the car pulls into a gravel roundabout that sits between the road and an abandoned property that's been fenced in. Jeremy stops the car, and the two of them sit and admire the building. Joey pulls out another cigarette and sighs as he packs the tobacco against the dashboard of the car. Jeremy slides his hand into his pocket as he watches Joey put the cigarette between his lips. Joey opens up the glove box and the song Mississippi Queen comes on the radio, screaming loud with the wailing of fuzzed-out guitars and Papa Lardy belting out the words, Mississippi Queen. The groove of the bass like a spiritual possession infiltrating the body, commanding it to rock to the rhythm. The pounding of the cowbell hijacking the brain and replacing every single thought and memory with the internalization of the beat. Up until that final moment, that final shout of the words, Mississippi Queen. Sleep tight, kiddos.